Very good afternoon to all of you. GI Group India is back with webinar 2 in the series which is Industry 4.0. We have titled it as Driving Growth Through Green Industries, the Opportunities for Economic Growth and Employment. As you all know, GI Group has been doing this series from a couple of years, and we are picking up specific industries where we are bringing the experts to talk about the distinctive industries. The focus is to ensure that we bring topics which are in terms of employment, growth opportunities, sustenance of business, and etc. To give you guys a complete picture of GI Group is world's leading HR services organization, working with more than 20,000 clients, and we are present in around 50 odd countries across the world. The organization believes in giving equal opportunity of work, very important point, which is equal opportunity of work, make a sustainable impact to employability and employment through change lives. We mean it is more than work, just not work, it's more than work. We have invested in understanding the landscape and need of human engagement. Hence, we have carved our human capital services as in temporary staffing, permanent recruitment, apprentices engagement through different models in India, which is NAPS, NATS, compliance services. We also offer homegrown and partnership enabled HR tech tools to our customers to ensure a brilliant camaraderie to discipline and productivity of work. This is a tool which is homegrown and it facilitates the complete life cycle of the employees deployed and working in organization. GI Group India, as a key global player in the HR space, believes it is our commitment to foster industry discussions and shape the future of staffing. Also, we introducing and engaging a thought-provoking industry web series where we aim to explore emerging trends in various industries and their potential impact on the economy and employment. Today's webinar, as we call it, is focused on the green industries, a method to attain sustainable economic growth and promote sustainable economies. It includes policy making, improved industrial production processes, and of course, resource efficient productivity. We have titled it as Driving Growth Through Green Industries, and we are going to focus very specifically on opportunities for economic growth and employment. As we all know, India's green industry is poised for an exponential growth driven by innovative technologies and sustainable practices. As the sector embraces eco-friendly solutions, there will be significant demand for skilled professionals. And this is where I think our audience will be very interested when I say the demand for skilled professional. To stay ahead, the workforce must upskill, adapt to emerging technologies, and contribute to a more efficient and sustainable employment landscape. So join us in our insightful industry webinar as we hear from our industry stalwarts who will express their expertise on the topic, which is driving growth through green industries, opportunities for economic growth and employment. I take this opportunity to introduce our eminent panelists for the day. To begin with, the lady on board, Sirisha Sumant, COO, V-Guard Utility Solutions Private Limited. I repeat the name once again because in case somebody has joined just in a second when I was narrating, her name is Sirisha Sumant. She is COO, V-Guard Utility Solutions Private Limited. Sirisha, pleasure to have you on board. I take this honor to read some of the important things about your career, how you have contributed to the society so well, to the organizations. We are thrilled to introduce Sirisha Sumant, a dynamic operations enthusiast with a wealth of experience in the environmental, social, and governance, commonly known as ESG space. A lot of we are hearing in this space, Sirisha, and believe me, I'll come back to you again and again, of course, to hear more. Currently serving as the Chief Operating Officer at V-Guard Utility Solutions, Sirisha is the forefront of innovation in water management. Under her leadership, V-Guard has developed a cutting-edge, a water management platform that harnesses real-time data to drive significant impact. Having helped save an impressive 6 billion liters of water. Wow, that's great. That's big. With V-Guard Aqua, buildings can manage their water usage effortlessly and effectively, ensuring sustainability and efficiency in every drop. Extremely important. Shirisa's commitment to operational excellence and her passion for sustainability make her a leading voice in the industry. We are blessed to have you here. We are excited to hear her insights on the future of water management and of course the pivotal role that you would play in sustainable world and the topic that we covered today, which is in terms of the opportunities in the green industries. That's about Sirisha.
Thank you.
Once again, it's a moment of pride for me to welcome Mr. Chintan Walia, Vice President, ORB Energy Private Limited. As you did, sir, namaste from GI Group for making it to the the webinar. Mr. Walia has graduated from Mumbai University HR College of Commerce and Economics and has completed his masters in marketing management from Aston University in 2007-2008, popularly known as Aston Business School, Birmingham, United Kingdom, and is currently pursuing executive management program from IIM Ahmedabad, batch of 24-25. Inspiring, very inspiring, I would say. Okay, Mr. Walia has a techno-commercial and entrepreneurial experience of over 15 years in solar PV industry in India. He has executed more than 50 megawatt of solar roof business under his watch and helped more than 75 large to medium corporates to realize their fully installed solar projects and reduce their energy expenditure substantially. I'm sure a lot of corporates who are going to be part of this, they hear this and your phone will be buzzing after a couple of hours because many of them would be aspiring to do this. Right? In this previous things as manager, he has been associated with companies like Waaree Energies, Rolta Power, Control Solar, Fair Energy, and has previously also spearheaded 2 new entrepreneurial ventures in solar power, which is between 2012-15. Currently is the Vice President Key Accounts with ORB Energy since past 5 years and heading Key Accounts Pan India as well. A warm welcome, Mr. Chintan. Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for a wonderful introduction, Sudeep.
Sure. So I think audience is now waiting to hear in terms of the fact that, what we have for them to hear and what are those interesting things which will focus on the sustainability aspect, economic growth, and more so from the employment perspective. Once again, I like to highlight that this particular web series focusing on Industry 4.0 is bought by GI Group, a human capital services company which focuses on contractual staffing, permanent hiring, apprentices, and also compliance services. We also have our homegrown tool which we call GI Suite, which enables productivity in terms of the life cycle of the associates. My first question, and the question is to the lady on board, Sirisha, to you. How are the investments in green industries leading to increased profitability through innovation? If you could elaborate and also share a few examples. I repeat, how are the investments in green industries leading to increased profitability through innovation?
Right. Thank you very much for the question, Sandeep, and it's a very pertinent one because I think our whole understanding of money and sustainability has changed a lot, and it's heading in the right direction more recently is what I would say. But before I answer that, I want us to sort of rethink when we say investment, what is it that exactly we're looking at? We're not only looking at investments in the water space. For example, we have the Jal Jeevan scheme, which is about 3.6 trillion rupees. We've seen, in fact, from VCs, a consistent $150 to $2 million a year on year for the last 3 years has been invested only in the water space, not even the entire green industry, just in the water space, right? Now add to this investments in sectors such as cloud computing, investments in the silicon industry, and all of these are kind of driving sustainable innovation as well, right? So really what we're seeing as an outcome is a compounded effect of all of these investments. And we're seeing the outcome in green industries, right? Having said that, I'm going to answer this as an operations person because that's what I've lived and breathed for last almost 20 years. So the underlying thread for me is data, right? We've always used data, but now there is a difference. Not only do we have data, we now have data at our fingertips. We have real-time data at our fingertips. And we are making leaps and bounds towards analytics at our fingertips and hurt towards some of these easier decisions just being automated so that we're able to focus on solving more complex issues, right? There is another very important thread that underlies sustainability and profitability. One of the key cornerstones of profitability, I believe, having run a business for so long, is definitely the reduction of waste, right? And reduction of waste is definitely the key cornerstone of sustainability as well. For example, are we using too much of a resource? Are we using the right kind of resource for the work that we're doing? Are we using the most efficient materials, right? These are all the questions that data will answer, and this in turn is then fueling innovations, right? So today, more and more companies have realized that in a world where sustainable practices and green infrastructure it's a major driver for their profitability today, right? And this effect is only going to become more and more pronounced, unlike before where we were making greener choices and it cost us money. Today we are towards where profitable, if you want to be profitable, you do have to make greener choices, you do have to make more sustainable choices, right? And we've seen this in our clients as well, right? In the water management system, we have factories save 45%. They reduce 45% of their water usage, and industries are a major consumer of these resources, and that in turn, has had really good effects on their bottom line. We have commercial clients, the office buildings and the malls and all of that, and they have things like BRSR reporting, where the onus is now on those people to say, I am using resources efficiently, responsibly, and once they start seeing this data, they start making decisions where there's fewer resources being used, they're being used more efficiently, which means profits again for them, right? And we've seen it reach all the way to a person's house, right? Even a resident. Some of these communities, we're seeing anywhere from 30% to 50% reduction in the water that they're purchasing. Again, it's money, right? Again, not only just the water bills, they're saving on electricity pumping, etc. And so really being sustainable more and more is just, it means being profitable.
Absolutely. No, I think very well said. The outlook has to be that how do I make business sustainable, and what are the green choices that we need to make as an organization in order to go to sustainability. And I think then the bucket of profitability to be looked into. I think very well said, and I think the examples that you have quoted are absolutely thought-provoking, because how to look into it becomes very critical. And I think once that is sorted, then you can definitely have your processes being input, your policies and etc. Right? So fantastic, and very well crafted what lines that you said. In continuation to that, since we have time, I would like to understand, in continuation to that, Sirisha, that what are probably 2 examples that your organization did or under your leadership, which I'm sure on any day you are extremely proud of, that these 2 things you were able to drive, which initially may have been looking challenging, and maybe you were also spending sleepless nights that finally how will I pull it off, but then you finally did. So any 2 such examples will be excellent for our audience to relate when they hear it conceptually what you said, and then versus if you can give a couple of examples.
Sure. So I think our product as such, we've been sort of innovation leaders. The thought that water in India, water is a resource that you pay for, because for the longest time we never paid for water. That's not how we were raised. That's not how we thought of it. So convincing the market that, hey, the water needs to be measured, and technology is the answer for it. Because again, when you say water needs to be measured, there's a number of ways of measuring it, right? Convincing the market that real-time water data is the answer to your problems. That itself was a huge push, and unfortunately, it had to be a new push in every sector. It had to be a push in the residential sector. It had to be a push in commercial. It had to again be a push in industry. But I'm really happy that of late we've not had to have the need conversation anymore, which means that very happy to say India has become very conscious about being sustainable as far as water goes, right?
Sure.
That is one. And two definitely has been any innovator, I think, in the green space. We have to think 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead. We cannot be building for today, we cannot be solving today's problems.
Sure.
And I think we've been really good at that in our company, because oftentimes we are the ones who are saying, hey, 2 years from now, you're going to have this problem. So why don't you start doing this right now?
Sure.
I think that push has really come from us, and we have people on board with us simply because we've been able to do that thinking for everybody.
Absolutely. And I think great. I think I'll touch upon this point because we as an organization do a lot of, coach or probably do this in conversations with a lot of organizations wherein they're looking for a workforce for tomorrow. Effectively, it happens that, they want people to kind of come work with them and then kind of and study their fitment to culture and etc. So contract staffing, deployment through apprentices are two very good examples wherein they are yet not the complete human capital of yours. They are probably with somebody else, but they are working for you, and in due course of time you get people to come and work for you now who have fit to the culture. They understand the organization growth by mindset and all of that. Great. Okay, so my next question is, Chintan, I have been hearing from me and Sirisha for quite some time. So I think time has come for me to bounce this question to you. I'd like to move the discussion towards a bit of skill gap, right? So my question to you are, what are the critical skill gaps that you are seeing in green economy? What are the skill gaps that you're seeing in green economy? And how do you think we can address them?
Sudeep, thank you for the question, and thank you for having this opportunity and having me as a panelist here. I've been in the solar industry for the last 15 years. And so I think largely from a solar or a wind perspective. So I will frame my answer accordingly. So what I have realized over the last many years is that that one thing is that the government has given a lot of boost impetus to the growth of the sector in terms of numbers, and the numbers are coming through, but there is a substantial gap in terms of skilled professionals today, and the kind of numbers government want to achieve, and it is impacting in a way a lot of things. So what I firstly feel is the technical skills is something which is very much required today, particularly if I have to segregate two particular sectors largely which is impacting today the job market. One is the utility scale market, wherein we are doing 50 megawatts, 100 megawatts, 200 megawatts at a time. And then there is a distribution market, right, where we're doing rooftops and other things, wherein today government is for the last 3-4 years have been giving a lot of boost. One example is the PM Muft Bijli Yojana, so that has created a lot of momentum in the industry. And today you see that every region, not even region, the sub regions now has it has propelled a lot of entrepreneurship, and then there is a requirement of skilled people who can go and execute these jobs in a very rightful manner. And this is where the gap lies, as according to me, where there is a requirement, but if right skillful people are not available, these guys won't be able to execute those kind of jobs.
Okay.
So this is one area where I feel that a lot of work needs to be done. It's not that it's not happening, but we have today something like Skill Council for Green Jobs. We have National Institute of Solar Energy, National Institute of Wind Energy, and there are some agencies, but then the kind of scale we want to achieve and kind of initiatives being taken, there is a little bit of gap, and which I think so over a period of time, if certain focus is given there, we can achieve that kind of desired result which is required today by these professionals, who could then get enough and good manpower to do a proper job which is required today, right? So that's one. Second, which is a very, very big gap, is the R&D gap, and which I always feel that we are lacking this in terms of having better technology today. So I have visited a lot of factories in China, and the kind of R&D spends they have, I mean, I don't have immediate numbers, but then there is a very big gap. So there is a little bit of work which is happening, but it's not enough. If we really want to achieve 500 gigawatt today, India is almost to a certain extent, India has gained a lot of momentum in terms of its increasing its share in renewable energy. But if we want to achieve those numbers in given time frame, there has to be a good technology innovation which will propel the sector in a way wherein there is a lot of or there is affordability for end consumer, which will end of the day impact the overall numbers and increase the overall install capacity, which will again boost and at least help us to achieve those numbers in a way. So these are the two larger gaps which I feel that it's required, and things needs to be, the policy in a way needs to be focused in these directions so that we can have the gaps here fulfilled and we can achieve our objectives.
Sure. Chintan, I will kind of put a sub question to this, and I do this. I'm doing this from the interest perspective of the audience as well and the job seekers as well. Will you agree with me that the kind of buzz that probably some profiles like need of data scientist, the way it comes in newspapers, it comes in social media, then people talk about it in different ways like the reels and etc. Comparatively, solar industry and the wind industry that you spoke about, have they been able to attract talent? Is solar energy requirements and probably wind energy requirements are in the same space, like it's in the dining table of every father talking to the son and saying that why can't you try it in solar energy? I think there's a lot of work still to be done, right? I'm sure you will agree, right? I mean, what do you think is missing, and what do you think is next we should do? And which, when I say we all put together.
Good question, yes, Sudeep. So yeah, you're right. So I mean, when I'll just give you my example. So
sure.
In 2000, so I started my career in 2010 in solar. And obviously that time, I mean, this was even before the initiation of the JNNSM, the Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission. And so, I mean, obviously, a common man walking on the road, definitely he didn't know about solar that time. And yes, that sector, I would say that even a lot of time my parents used to say, why are you in this sector? So I developed passion. It's a different story, and I could see that yes, solar is going to be a big thing someday, and that's why I hanged on to the sector, and today I'm gaining benefits or reaping benefits out of it. Today, at this point of time as well, today any young engineer today, he would rather aspire to be a data scientist or a data analyst, or maybe joining an IT company, but not solar or not renewable per se. I feel that there has to be some inspiration here for all the young people out there. My thought process was that apart from doing my day-to-day job, I am also helping the environment as such, because one consumer or one factory or one organization goes solar, there is a certain amount of carbon reduction or a impact on the carbon emission which happens, right? So
Sure.
apart from not only earning your daily bread, I would say, but at the same time, apart from this, you are also doing something good. So it's a two-way thing which happening at the same time. So for me, that was one way I looked at it, but not everyone looked at it, because the monetary aspect was not supporting that point of time. Right now, things are really moving in a good way, and I would really thank some initiatives by the government, and even our Prime Minister is so gung-ho about solar, and
Sure.
he's been talking about it a lot of times. So last 3 or 4 years has been fantastic, but this momentum needs to go on, because we are just at the tip of the iceberg. That's what I
Sure.
see. So
Sure.
yes, I mean, if we can create national heroes here, if we can have those kind of inspirations, right, then yes, this can turn into that momentum of what you're talking about.
Absolutely, and I think we are at the right space, because we already have two national heroes. I would call that, this particular webinar through which we kind of creating that thing, because it's and I think rightly, as you say, 2010, and now I think you inspire. I think for all these 144 people who are there today live with us, many of them would be thinking, what do I do? Which is the career do I build? And an example of perseverance, example of not running away, but an example of that stick to it and keep doing it, and the passion which you spoke about, that I'm doing my daily bread, I'm doing something for my daily wage, or my daily bread, but at the same time I'm also doing something to protect the environment, which means I'm no less than probably an army official who is in the border to protect the country. I'm no less than him, because I'm protecting people from falling ill. So fantastic. I mean, kudos to you, sir, and I'm sure this inspires many other people as well.
Yeah,
So
I would just like to add one thing here.
Sure.
So there is, when I talk about national heroes, so I am really inspired by one gentleman, a professor from IIT Bombay, that's Mr. Chetan Singh Solanki, and he has vowed that he will not go home for 11 years. He's on a nationwide journey for awareness of uh, the impact of climate change, and he's not going to go home for next 11 years, and he's on a yatra, on a bus, and he's going and raising awareness of impact of climate change, which is also promoting usage of solar energy and the benefits of net zero and so on and so forth, and going to the remotest places of India and promoting this. So again, when I think about an hero, yes, he's the first person who come to my mind. So again, we need more examples and more dedication like this. So kudos to Mr. Chetan Singh Solanki.
Absolutely. And I think I'll come to you, Sirisha, now, because I think the real impact of these sessions is how much can we inspire the young generation to pick up to get the right direction, and then once they pick up what they need to, they need to be resilient, and of course they need to also be knowing the right steps that needs to be taken, right? So you are an example of not many, I would say you are a perfect example of diversity that we are talking about, because I don't think too many women pick up this particular industry as such, and I'm sure you yourself is also working to engage more women into this industry and etc. So while we say there are a lot of girls who typically are in their last mile of educational journey and thinking of making it a career, and believe you me, the example of Sirisha Sumant is, they feel, is in the striking distance. Yes, we can also be somebody like her, kind of thing. So what would be the 3-4 things that you would tell them, which will enable them to probably be focused and get to where you are, or probably get to further from where you are right now?
Sure, sure. I'm going to say something a little sneaky, but this is what has really helped me. Okay. One thing that I followed is forget the fact that you're a woman until the point where it gives you an advantage. I know that's a very thing to say, but when you're coming up from behind, unfortunately, you have to use these things, right? So when I say forget the fact that you're a woman, the fact is that, if I'm in a boardroom, there are a lot of times where I'm the only woman. In a construction site, there are a lot of times where I'm the only woman. So, I mean, shed the inhibitions, right? Let go. Do not assume that people are treating you differently or thinking of you differently until you are treated. I mean, in that case, take this thing, but don't have that be the basis of how you're going about your career, right? We in India today, I actually am the third generation that went to college, in my family. And so the fact is that a lot of women before you have fought for you to stand where you're standing right now. And so take full advantage of it. And I think India as a whole, we've become very open to women in most workplaces. I want to, really give a shout out here to the Brigade Group. They're led by 2 women, and the number of women engineers at their sites is actually phenomenal. So there are different industries like this. I myself, my dream is to have more women plumbers running up and down my buildings. I would love to have that. Unfortunately, I'm getting my hand on enough resumes. But I think first step starts with you. Don't believe that you're hindered. Don't believe that you're inhibited. Go for it. But when I say that, the next step is also to speak up for yourself, because opportunities don't come to you. Very oftentimes you are seeking the opportunity. If you have a vision, talk to as many people as you can about it, get mentored as much as possible, make as many connects, and sort of don't give up until you reach that place. And finally, and most importantly, society in India is what it is. So there, I would say, bring out the woman in you. Learn how to emotionally manage requirements, because you may be single today, you may have a family, whatever it is. There are many requirements, but I truly believe the Indian woman is already trained to multitask and already trained to emotionally multitask as well. And so use that as a stepping stone.
Absolutely. I think wonderful words. I think extremely well narrated. Multitasking aspect. Look at it positive way, open to learn. And I think don't look at around and feel ever that you are the only woman. Look at it, the fact that, I think it's the capability which has brought you there. So focus on enhancing the knowledge and look forward to inspire more people. And I think you said a very good word. You said, can we have more plumbers who are women, right? So I think it's very well said. And why not? I think I'm so happy that you are thinking about it, because these are thoughts which encourages organizations like us also, because then we scout for such talent. We go to probably the B and the C class cities as well to scout for such people like that, and then we can have that synergy work with your organizations and etc. Just to say that GI Group as an organization, we run a program which is called as Returnship to Work. wherein we are inspiring people who have taken a break to come back. And we believe, and we are very proud of that, because it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of what exactly you said, that social stigma, to break that and come back to work. A lot of courage to come back. And I think the first 15 days, once you come back, is the toughest, because that's when you start thinking, am I left behind? How will I cover? How are people taking me? So I think these are fantastic and examples of how we can also look at sustainability, because this is also a sustainability aspect, that how do you kind of do that. Great. So I think we touched upon a lot of interesting points. One among them is, of course, the role of policies, because that finally impacts in terms of the long-term, accelerations and etc. So my question to, of course, will both of you, but first I'll come to you, Chintan, is how can governments better align their policies to accelerate both environmental protection and job creation in green industries? I'll repeat the question.
Okay.
How can government better or align better, or whatever is there, further align to accelerate environmental protection and job creation in green industries?
Okay, so Sudeep, I believe that firstly, it is very important to one thing. What has I would say that it's what has done government has done right in last 3-4 years is by promoting the renewable energy as an industry, right? And they have basically in a way they have with schemes like the PLI schemes for manufacturing in solar, we see a lot of big impetus today, right? So there was one right policy decision which has propelled a lot of jobs today in this industry. So this is where the importance of integration of policy again with at the same time with the initiatives like Skill Council for Green Jobs, wherein one end they are fostering the demand, and at the other end they are ensuring that the last mile last mile thing would happen in terms of the once the moment comes to meet up that demand, we have enough and trained manpower to attend to them, or to ensure that the deliverables happen in that direction. So this, according to me, is one of the biggest thing which has happened here. And I mean, this I don't see anything else apart from this which is greater in terms of having demand for demand creation, and at the same time meeting up this. So this is one thing which is which is there. And the momentum, the right now, the way the industry is placed, there is now the solar manufacturing, for example, right, has now slowly and steadily going towards a regional business. So once upon a time it was a national business. Now you see there are small manufacturers today who are coming up in regional areas, and they are doing very good in their own particular region, and this is creating a lot of demand. And you see that professionals now traveling from Chennai to north in Delhi, and ensuring they are the manufacturing heads of these companies. So this has created a demand, and this is because of the right kind of policy, right? And if this was not there, then that particular person in Chennai would have probably not got any other opportunity, and he would have stuck around there. So he has got now options. So I see a lot of a lot of demand creation which has happened because of the policy. At the same time, this is again propelling a lot of job requirement in terms of regional job requirement, which is again inspiring a lot of ITI engineers, a lot of engineers to take up jobs in solar. Maybe through skill council, they can upskill themselves, and with on-the-job training, they can really accelerate their career. So one right policy is actually creating a lot of momentum, and this is what I think it's a good thing which is happening.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think I completely agree. I mean, something which is taking care of the demand on one side, and of course the supply on the other side. And I think the most important factor here is the long view, because already we are talking about probably 2040. We are talking. I mean, RPM is already talking about 2047, right? So I think we need to work now for that, right? And then of course, I mean, when those years come, I think maybe Chintan, you will hang up your boots and etc. But you can look around and say that I worked for the last 20 years to see what's happening today, right? And I think that's going to be an awesome feeling. That's going to be a fulfilling thing, that where is the country today? I am contributed to this, and I did it from the last 15 years. So yeah. I think that's awesome. Absolutely fantastic, great. So Sirisha, what is your thoughts, like from the government policy making perspective, something which is on, which we already know, some of the directives which you think government should pick up while they are doing the formulating the policies, if you can throw some light on those.
Sure. So so one of the things that's been happening in Tamil Nadu is that there's been these little industrial parks springing up, and they've actually been given a lot of focus for renewable and sustainable businesses. So there are certain business parks where you can only set up your factory if you fall under these categories, right? So in terms of creating demand, at least locally where I am, I feel like that is happening. However, when it comes to skill training, unfortunately, we still have in ITI welding, lathe, those kind of things, right? Unfortunately, when they actually reach the factory, they're probably running a CNC machine instead, and so there is already a gap. So I think some sort of a policy that maybe allows these demand generators to train the people coming up, right? I just feel like there's a large gap between what we need and what is happening. Another example is even we ourselves, right? I say plumbers, but all our plumbers are required to know electrical, because we are an IoT device. Even if you decide to go down the pipe, you have to be able to handle the device at the end of the day. And we searched high and low, and you won't believe where we ended up finding our answer is in hotel management. Because typically a hotel does not want a plumber separately and electrician separately. And so that's where we found our answer, but I wish we had found it in an actual training center instead of having to search so far. So definitely, like you say, think a few years ahead when we're thinking of our skill training programs. Bring in industry, at least into a think tank, right? Before we make policies. Ask the actual users what they want. And then sort of making policy around all this makes sense. And also, when we have an industrial park being created for renewable resources, definitely I think hand in hand we should have a skill training institute, maybe even nearby. Like Chintan says, this has become a highly regionalized thing. So why not just in that local region, you're also providing employment for that town or village or whatever it is. So I think the people making these policies bring in a little more variety, and then also have the setup where it's usable sort of in that region.
Sure. No, absolutely. I think very critical and important points you picked up, and a solution which was probably should have been found in the training rooms but was found in a different industry. I think these are learning inputs, and I think I feel that whenever there is a war room to think about policies, I think professionals like you should be in that room as well, wherein you are able to say to the folks who design the course curriculum that finally what is that is expected in a company, in industry, align it with the course curriculum, because then there is no gap. Unfortunately, what's happening is what they study and what they come up and face in interview, there is a gap. So ideally it should happen that both the parties, and of course government should facilitate that both of you sit together and decide what should actually be the need. because many times the courses are getting developed in 2022 for 3 years, output is going to be in 2025. By the year 2025 comes, things have completely changed. So what they study and what we expect from them is very different, right? Okay, great, good. So I think we have, just to reiterate, we have around 142 odd people who are listening to us, and I'm sure for a good period of time we are seeing that the figures are around 142. They are willing to know more about the aspects. They definitely are inspired with you, Shirisha and Chintan, because both of you, as I said, are heroes from the strikeable distance. They believe that yes, we can also be with them or be like them, and hence this is running fantastic. Again, a program which is bought by GI Group, a human capital services company, focusing on contractual staffing, permanent recruitment, apprentices, and also HR tech too. I'll run up to some quick questions, because that's something which also our fellow HR people of different organizations wish to also know. And hence, I think I'll just pick up 3 very important questions. What successful models have you seen for green industry clusters in terms of innovation hubs? So just name, I think Chintan, you can name some of them. What do you think are the successful models that we have seen for green industry clusters from the innovation or innovation hubs?
Just before that, green industry clusters, as in like you are talking about the cluster of industries who have gone green, or what exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah, so you can talk about the industries which have gone green, and how innovation has played in a role in that.
Okay, so I'll exactly relate our organization's model and how effective it has been in terms of I always term it as impacting the overall Indian economy. So I'll link to that. So today, as I mean, all of us are aware that the backbone of Indian economy or the economy is the MSME SME sector, where it is propelling a lot of manufacturing activities today, right? And when it comes to MSMEs SME sector, which is very huge in number, right? Today, saving every rupee is important for them in terms of being competitive. So today, it is very essential for this particular sector to be very effective and efficient in terms of their overall deliverables today. And lot of industries today, they have either the second most monthly expenditure or second most highest monthly expenditure is the energy expenditure. Now, when you directly impact this, it definitely is going to have a lot of operational enhancement in the operational efficiency, and which impacts the bottom lines, and because of which they can do a lot of activities which can propel the organization or have a good momentum. Now,
Sure.
to this, what we have done is that a solar rooftop, say, which is costing around 2 crore or 3 crore rupees or a 1 crore rupees, it is a substantial cost for any industry today, and putting this money for solar. Now, what is solar for them? It's a secondary source of power, which is just reducing their energy expenditure. Now, if I tell them to put that 1 crore rupees immediately, it will definitely impact their ability to do business in the near future or in a short run. So what we have done as a financial innovation, and this is for the first time in India, that an organization provides in-house finance without any security, without any collateral, and which is off the balance sheet. So today, if I am an entrepreneur, I don't want to typically take a loan, because if I take a loan, my business doing capability comes down.
Okay.
So I don't want to take a loan for solar particularly. And I want to still do a solar without any investment and reduce my energy expenditure.
Sure.
And this is what exactly we have done. And that's one of the reasons that today we are in top 5 in India, one of the leading solar rooftop company in India, which is backed by organizations like Shell. That's why Shell came to us with because of this innovative financial model, and it is impacting today a lot of MSMEs and SMEs. And we have known one case particular, I would talk about it, wherein we have helped them save a lot of money in South India, and they are a commodity manufacturer, and suddenly they have become one of the most competitive companies in India today, offering their product because their energy expenditure reduced, and they could at the end their product is probably 5 paisa or 10 paisa cheaper than their competitor.
Absolutely.
So this, and because of which now because they have gained substantial market share in the Indian market, they have now gone and they are now competing in the international market also. So if you link this, this is how solar has impacted them. I mean, they definitely, the green energy attributes are definitely there, but at the same time, it is impacting their business also. And if I replicate this to plethora of MSMEs, SMEs, what we have, overall, it will impact the Indian economy in a way.
Sure. Sure. No, I think what you right now said, that your solution has helped them in order to be more competitive, which essentially means that the kind of adjacent solution designing that has happened, because obviously that company was not competing with you, they were into their own league of business, but your organization has actually helped them reduce the cost of energy, which essentially has, which in other words meant them to be competitive in the product, or they probably use that funds into doing better product management, and probably use it in better sales and etc., which has given them a larger coverage in the market. I mean, this is a great story. I mean, apart from webinar, I'll definitely build upon on this, because I'm sure there is a lot of business people who have registered for this and who are right now would have just heard you live. They would be interested, and I'm sure Chintan, you will get a lot of because you will have a lot of people chasing you to know more about these things. So I'm so glad you took this initiative to come. I think we'll find both of you. Okay, my next question, and probably last before we pick up some from the audience, would be, all this while we have been hearing about the good and people adopting and all, but I'm sure both of you have faced barriers as well, saying, do we really need, why should we do all of that, right? I mean, I'm sure it goes hand in hand. So Sirisha, my question to you, because I'm sure you would have faced this, and I'm sure you would have faced these challenges, and but the resilient person that you are, you must have come up with solutions to solve them as well. An answer to you will be an answer to many people who face this similar situation. So my question to you are, what are the main barriers preventing faster adoption of green technologies in the industry or the environment which you have worked? What do you think are the main barriers which stop the acceleration of adoption of green technologies?
Sure. So I actually think Chintan's previous answer is my segue into this answer. So capital is definitely one of the biggest barriers. I'm sure he'll agree. We all face this, because when it's not broken, why fix it kind of thought is always there, right? So I think there are various financial models. There's a lot of NBFCs these days. We've explored a few ourselves that have tried to ease capital, but I don't think, again, like Chintan said, we are trying to do 10x and the capital infusion is 2x, right? That's where we are kind of stuck. So I think whether it be people or money, the amount that we want to do versus the kind of support that we're getting is one of the biggest barriers. And when we're talking about all of these projects, right, green projects, it's not enough to only implement in newer buildings or newer infrastructure. We have a need to bring existing infrastructure also into sort of a greener mode, right, if I may say. So again, there is a lot of it's not really a hidden cost, but it's not obvious on the face of it, right? So it's all of this plus, even the way you built your building, is it possible to bring it into the green era, right? So all of these thoughts are there. Plus, I think people who are innovating should keep this in mind, right? That's sort of why we went and said, we had a lot of models, but we said, hey, we're going to make this as easy as possible. If a pipe exists, water should be measurable, right? That sort of innovation as well from the innovators is needed. And lastly, and probably most importantly to this group, is the skill gap. I am saying not only our own employees, even our clients, we have facility managers who have taken care of buildings in a completely different way, right? They're used to walking up to their ACs and their motors and all of that. And today we're saying, hey, you sit in a chair, we will give you all the information. And so his job is completely, right? His job. So I think reskilling, not only to be able to produce things for the green industry, but also to be able to use it all over, right? From entry level, skilled, unskilled, blue collar, white collar, management, decision makers. There is a huge reskilling gap over there, definitely. So yeah, I think in no particular order, the amount of capital infusion, skill management, and how are you innovating, the type of innovation that's happening. I think those are the three.
Sure.
So Sudeep, I just would like to add one thing extending to what Shirisha's thoughts are. So just going back to basics, right? So there is, I certainly feel that there is the need of an hour is to introduce sustainability practices right in the curriculum of maybe higher secondary school days, so that the future generation is molded to think in this fashion. So just to extend to what Shirisha mentioned, because it's very important that right from we ingrain this basically in our future DNA, I would say that through education, awareness, and so we already in terms of anything today in renewable energy, in climate change, people are not aware about it. And and obviously, if I talk about myself or about yourself or Shisha, we were definitely, it was not in our curriculum. I see that it's again not in my kids' curriculum. Probably it could come, but the need of an hour is that push should go to the policymakers to have this, so that it is ingrained right from the beginning, and then we can expect that change what we are desiring to look upon, that can then happen, because that is ingrained right from the beginning.
Absolutely great. I think time is important, and as we have all understood that time is equally important when you talk about sustainable, because obviously you are switching between different activities. So I'm not going to commitment of what GI Group was that it's going to be an hour. So I think we are towards the closure of that. And as I said, it's been a fantastic journey of 1 hour where we talked about the green industry, the opportunities in terms of employment, the business opportunities, some of the business transformations that we spoke about, aspiration to see more women plumbers per se, as you said, policy making, changes in the course curriculum aligned with what probably the employment opportunity will be. I think it's been fantastic to have both of you. We'll build upon this. So if you see, we will carry a lot of bites that you guys have given with your title and the photograph in the social media. The idea is to get people to know more, to learn more. And I think that's the best thing that we can do, apart from, as you Chintan said, earning the wage or the daily bread. How are we impacting society? If we can inspire 5 job seekers in the market, or probably 5 professionals to read a little bit more than from what we have said, each one of you, I think there's a purpose. The purpose of God sending us as human beings to this earth more or less will be served, I would say. So thanks to both of you for making it, for taking your time out to come here as a panelist. We look forward to have you people again in our next series. Thanks, and thanks to audience. I think we have close to around, we had around 130 to 140 people. They have really been around, and I'm sure they have also been enriched with the thought-provoking inputs that we have got from both of you, and answers to some of the questions. Thanks. Look forward to have you both here. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.